Hey everyone, not entirely sure what this video is going to be about. It's definitely focusing on the 40 Smith & Wesson, which is the caliber of the HK P30L that I purchased. So at the moment I'm I lost count, but I might be around 700 rounds, 700 rounds into using it. So it's still being broken in. But one thing I am noticing between the 40 Smith & Wesson and the 9mm that I was used to, there's definitely a lot more, snap, as they say, with the 40. But my grouping has really gone to shit. The 40 definitely seems to exacerbate my recoil anticipation, and any compensation I might be doing, and I'm really trying not to, but it happens, and you can see it on the target as the as the rounds, trail down low and left. Now, I didn't know much about the history of the 40 Smith & Wesson in relation to the 9mm. It's a pretty interesting little history on that with the FBI. And when I purchased the HK, I was like, okay, it's chambered differently, fine. Okay, so I gotta buy different ammo, big deal. And I like the HK. That's gonna be my carry pistol. That's at least my current intention. I have my whole setup. Ready to go for it, and I've been practicing, like the super careful person I tend to be. And it's pretty comfortable, despite, having a bit of a belly. I've been working out, and not because of the gun stuff, but just because for health reasons. So the belly's going down a little, but the belly does help. That's the thing, my belly causes my shirt to drape a little further, which gives me a little bit more concealability. So, if you're a little overweight, you can do appendix carry if you want to. You just have to figure it out for yourself. I mean, that goes to say for anyone who's doing appendix carry or just concealed carry in general, you have to find out what works for you. But anyway, the 40 Smith & Wesson. It's often compared to the 9mm and the 45 ACP because it's like right in the middle, as far as speed and power goes. It's not as slow as the 45, but it's not as slender or light of a round as the 9mm. But like I said, one thing I'm noticing is that it seems to be a little bit more difficult to shoot successfully, getting good grouping and all. I was at the range today and we were playing Battleship. You can get one of these targets that's, Battleship. And we play that at 15 yards. That's a good distance with handguns. And, just seeing how I do, and it's always low and left. Things trail off after a while. No matter how much I try to not let that happen and to be cognizant of what I'm doing and everything else and my trigger pull and my grip and blah, 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 it still happens. The real interesting thing is when I switched to a 9mm after shooting the 40 Smith & Wesson for, 50 plus rounds. And I go to the 9mm, and it's shooting the 9mm is almost like nothing as far as handling it, the recoil and everything else. It's like, it would be like going from a 9mm to, not entirely, but I mean, it's kind of like going from a 9mm to a 22. There's a big jump. You do get a different feel for it, and your body's all worked up and ready and has been compensating for the 40 Smith & Wesson this whole time, and all of a sudden it has to deal with a 9mm, and it's like, what is this? And it's a lot easier to shoot the 9mm because of the 40 Smith & Wesson. So that's an interesting result from that. And I was just trying to look up videos on YouTube about the comparison. There's a lot of comparison videos between the 9mm and the 40 Smith & Wesson. But I haven't really found any that went into just the getting used to shooting it, the problems with shooting it, or just a higher caliber in general. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is just maybe this is something that someone like me worries about, that notices, that wants to learn about, that wants to resolve. And maybe a lot of other people just don't think anything of it. I don't know. But, you know, I am enjoying it. I just wish my grouping was a lot better. It's a little disheartening, you know, when you just see a target peppered with rounds and not isolated with nice groups. You know, like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't really know entirely what it was going to be about. So, but what are your thoughts on the 40 Smith & Wesson? Just shooting it in general. How were you someone like me who went from a 9mm to a 40 Smith & Wesson? Did you transition easily, or did you find some difficulty? You know, because I am certainly still getting used to it, and that's frustrating. So, but if you have any helpful advice, helpful stories, anecdotes, whatever, please share them to this video. Thank you.